I've made, and without trying to boast, just to show people what's possible, I've made more money in I think it's coming up to 2 months now that I've been there that I would have made in half a year or maybe 3/4 of a year. So people that think it's not a real opportunity or anything, that just look into it a bit more, speak to people, and you'll realize what is possible.
Okay, awesome. Jake, thank you so much for hopping on today. I know you're based out of the UK, been crushing it with a YouTube automation offer recently inside kind of the Modern SDR and everything. I know this is like our official like first time meeting, but I know you're talking with Eva on the team and came in with Norbert, lots of other great coaches on the team. But could you just kind of intro yourself and kind of even maybe explain a little bit why you even got into the remote triaging space and sales space? That'd be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I say, I'm based out of England, and I was an accountant for 2 years, and then I started working in kind of the coaching space. But I wasn't actually coaching; I was just doing kind of the tech around there, and also the accounts for the guy that I was working for. And I saw all the opportunities out there with setting, closing, but I had no real kind of idea of how to get started with any of it, and more importantly, find a job within there. So I'd kind of fell out of love with the job that I was doing, and just thought, I don't know how people sit in offices for like 60 years. It definitely isn't for me. So I took myself out of that and then kind of took a leap into something, which was the Modern SDR, and then kind of the rest is history.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, it's been cool kind of hearing about your journey. I know you've been keeping a lot better in contact with Eva and stuff on the team, but I guess could you kind of just I guess elaborate on how kind of the program went, but then even how your current position is and kind of what you're doing, maybe even on a day-to-day basis, if you don't mind. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, for sure. So on a day-to-day basis, when I first started out, it was obviously I'd learned a bit more about my offer, spoke with the guy I was working for. And then it was just really diving in at the deep end. I felt like I had enough training. I felt confident going into that. So, like I say, anything that I needed, there was kind of all scripts and stuff in place just for me to kind of take away. So I kind of jumped into the DMs and I was sending like 200, 300 DMs per day, which I was happy to because it was new, exciting experience. And then we just really grew from there. I started kind of getting results from the first day. So I was an appointment setter in the DMs, but I was also closing if I was kind of, if that was an option. So I closed a deal on my very first day of working. So yeah, just kind of took things from there.
That's awesome. And yeah, so I guess when you first started, was it like DM closing that you were focused on, or how did that work?
For sure. So I spoke to a couple of guys who needed, when I had my interviews, I spoke to a lot of people who needed appointment setters, but I really resonated with what Severe was doing and where his program was. And he was actually looking for a DM closer, but if they needed a call to kind of get them over the line, we could sort that as well. So I did come aboard as a DM closer, but I feel like it was very they were very similar in the sense that you were kind of speaking to the people in the same way. It was just I was going the extra mile with closing the deals.
For sure. So I guess for you, what is kind of your favorite part about this? And then I guess maybe even like the least favorite, so people can get kind of like an accurate, I guess, representation of kind of how this sales space works.
Absolutely. So my favorite part was obviously the income side of things. I think a lot of people would say that I'd made more money in the first month or two of being here than I would make in half a year at my old job.
Holy
Yeah.
shit, that's
So
crazy.
even on the first day, I'd made like half of my odd monthly income. So my head was, as you can imagine, it was popping. But the honest best thing about this is the freedom that I've had. Like when I used to go to the gym, it was after like 5 o'clock. So that was rammed, but I've been able to go like midday when it's empty. I've been able to kind of take my parents around places where they couldn't get to if they needed a lift or anything. So really just the choice of setting my own hours, that's the biggest thing for me. I think that's the difference between kind of being rich and wealthy. If you've got the choice to kind of, and I'm not rich by the way, but having the choice to kind of just choose what you do in the day. I was working 9 till 5 and then coming home and keep working. Now I just set my own hours and I'm making more money than I've ever made.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I know, people maybe even watching this might be, kind of skeptical about things or, kind of unsure getting into the sales space. So I guess could you share like any negative things that you've kind of gone through or kind of how you circumnavigated that, I guess?
For sure. So I suppose because of to a lot of people and myself when I started, it can be quite intimidating that there's all this. It's something you've never even heard of. So I just feel like I felt like the negative was that you might feel like you don't have enough support or anything like that. That was the feeling I had. But then I joined with a great guy who I'm working for, and he gave me all the support I needed. And I've been able to speak to, like you say, Eva and Norbert, who have kind of helped me through the process. So I would say it was the intimidation at first, because, you know, when you're in your comfort zone, you don't really want to step out of that. But when you make that leap and, you know, you've got the knot in your stomach, but you have support around you, you're kind of happy there.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, you know, like on a day-to-day basis. So I guess you kind of are able to take calls kind of in the morning, then like gym, and then like do more calls, or how does that kind of work on a day-to-day schedule?
Yes. So being in the UK, there's the time zone difference. So in the morning is normally where we have the team meetings. We have 3 of those a week. So I'm able to keep a good routine, which I actually don't want to lie in bed all day. So I have a team meeting, and then I get to the gym and stuff if I have 1 or 2 calls in the morning, and then it's more the afternoon and evening that I open up. I don't work Sundays at all, but on Saturdays I open up like 2 or 3 hours just for any like triages that come in or anything like that.
So are you guys right now just going DMs to triage call and then to the closing call, or is it all like DM straight to closing call?
So we've changed massively. It was just closing in the DM, then we started, and then like you say, we've gone from DM now to triage to closing call. So yeah, it's a three-step process.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I know y'all hit like record months, like I think in January, right? So how was that kind of process, you know, kind of ramping in, starting with the business? And then I guess at some point you'll probably help with hiring, you know, other salespeople or things like that, or could you kind of elaborate on that?
So absolutely. So when we started, it was important to me to know where the business was at to see if I was coming into a good opportunity. And I think the highest month they'd had was 35K. In December, we smashed that. I was only there the second half of the month, but you know, if there's more people that are focusing on their individual parts rather than one man doing everything, obviously that's when you start to scale. And then in January, we had record weeks, record days, and then halfway through January, we hired another appointment setter, and I kind of transitioned into a triage and closing position.
Nice.
And then I'd been taking that on because I'd seen the industry before, and my goal was I wrote it down at the start of the year, start as an appointment setter, and maybe next year I'll be a closer. But things just kind of scaled that quickly, and I felt that confident with it, with kind of the support and everything I had around me, that I just jumped in head first, and I've been able to kind of hit a end of year goal right at the start of it.
Dude, that's awesome. That's incredible. For people that I guess kind of may lack confidence, or you know, may just not think, you know, sales is for them, I guess, do you have any kind of words there? Because I know you came from more of a tech background. So what was kind of that transition?
For sure. So like I say, I'd seen the opportunities in sales and stuff, and I'd seen the industry and kind of what is possible. For anyone who's not really feeling confident towards it, my advice to anyone would be to just do it. If you're in a point where you're in pain or like at work or something and you're too comfortable, I'd say just kind of taking the leap into something better. If it doesn't work, you can always go back. And if you're young as well, just kind of taking that leap now and not regretting it later was kind of the biggest thing in my head. Kind of towards that, yeah.
Okay. No, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm a big proponent of that as well. I feel like, you know, the things that scare you most is like kind of like just what you have to do, right? So that's awesome that you're kind of doing that now. Well, cool, man. And I guess for you, what's the goal like 12 months, 5 years from now?
It's a great question, because there's so much scaling going on in the short term. It's hard to kind of think about what's going to be happening this time next year. But if I can kind of get to a point where my income it's been going up and up, but if I can get it to a steady level that I'm happy with, I could even start to look, you know, starting my own businesses, my own online companies. And that was never really possible with what I was doing before, but now I'm doing this. I feel like it's more of a realistic goal.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think, you know, sales is, you know, definitely one of the, I mean, it's the backbone to any business, right?
Yeah.
So I think now that you have this skill set, plus you have the tech skill set from before, it's like everything that's starting to, you know, I guess that you would need to eventually start a business and things like that.
No, I'd agree with that. I say the only 2 skills you really need are kind of sales and marketing. If you can sell something, you're never going to be out of work.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, cool, man. I guess you have any, like, you know, just any piece of advice for, you know, people maybe looking to get into this space, or, you know, maybe kind of sick of the current jobs, or, you know, maybe looking to just, you know, try something new?
The piece of advice I would have is, if you're in a job now that you feel is safe, but you want more from life, you just have to take the chance, because if you don't, then you're just going to be stuck there. And there's nothing worse than just being stuck in a comfort zone. There's only growth happening when you step out of that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely agree with that. I think if you're not growing, it's slowly dying, right? So it's
yeah,
I'm not sure if that sounds harsh, but
no, it's right.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Well, Jake, I mean, I guess, is there anything else that you want to touch on? I know you've been crushing the income goals, pretty much doubled or tripled up salary, and it seems like things are going well, but anything else that you wanted to kind of touch on?
Not really, just that I've made, and without trying to boast, just to show people what's possible, I've made more money in I think it's coming up to 2 months now that I've been there that I would have made in half a year or maybe 3/4 of a year. So people that think it's not a real opportunity or anything, that just look into it a bit more, speak to people, and you'll realize what is possible.
Okay, for sure, man. Well, sweet. And yeah, I guess, do you want to share any like social media platforms or where people can find you, or it's fine if you don't? I'm just
for sure. I don't really have like a business page on Instagram or anything, but if anyone wants to speak to me, my Instagram is jake.elston. That's ELSTON1. I'm happy to speak to anyone that wants to kind of hear it from me myself.
Okay, cool, man. I'll put that in the description, I guess, down below.
Okay.
So,
okay, for sure.
Okay. Well, sweet, Jake. I appreciate the time and thank you for coming on. Appreciate it. Cheers.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.